Welcome back to LewyT's Amusement Academy, Part 6. In this lesson, there's a couple things that I want to do. First is going to make a ocean around our island. That's pretty straightforward. And then after that, we're going to give our character a goal to reach, and then it does something when he reaches the goal. Okay, to start off, what we need is a something that goes around the island, and I think what would work would be a plane. So I'm going to right click in the hierarchy and make a 3D object plane. Now it's very small, so we're going to scale it up. First I'm going to set it position to 0, 0, 0. And scale is going to be 1,000. That's about big enough. Maybe it could be even bigger than that. Now, it's the level of it is exactly the same as the level as the bottom of the island, so I'm going to raise it up. So I'm going to up a little bit so that the island sticks out, but it's covering up a lot of the ground. Okay. Now, what we need to make it really actually look like water is a material. So currently it's just on the default material, and we want to get a water material. So we're going to go to Asset Store Web, and we're going to search for Simple Water Shader URP. And when we go to that search, it comes up with several, but like on mine, it's the second one, and it's just the one that says exactly Simple Water Shader URP. We're going to open that. And you can add to my assets and then open in Unity. It'll take you to the package manager as usual. We're going to import into the project. Your button will probably be download, but I've already downloaded it. So download and then import. Okay, now that it's imported, we should be able to set this material. So we're going to go look for, in the project, we're going to look for, I'm going to go back and see. It's by IgniteCoders. So sometimes the person or group that provides the asset is the name of the folder where it appears. So we get to look for IgniteCoder, not in the packages. There it is. It's in the assets folder, but under IgniteCoders. Thank you, IgniteCoders. And then we're going to go to prefabs, and there is, so I made my own plane, but this prefab may be all I need. So I'm going to drag this into the world, and it looks a little bit funny. I'm going to actually delete my plane that I created, and then I'm going to make this plane 0, 0, 0 and 1,000. And there is the water. It even goes up and down a little bit. Actually quite a lot, more than I would want. Because I scaled it up 1,000 times, so the waves are 1,000 times taller. What we can do is we can modify this mesh renderer and the material on it. Normal tiling is 10 by 10. Let's go So we'll do the 1,000 because we scaled it by 1,000, so it makes more sense that it would be 1,000. So that just makes the texture of the water look right, but it's still the waves are still enormous. So I want to find the setting for that. Displacement is 0.1. Let's put a 0 in there and see. Okay, it definitely moved the water down and it doesn't go up as high anymore. So I may need to bring it up to put it where I actually want it. That's a good spot right there. My character is above the water. Water goes up and down on the beach. Maybe still more than is really desirable. If I put another 0 in here, it's going to make it even lower and move less. So there's our ocean. Nothing fancy. We downloaded a water shader. It works fine. It looks way better than anything I could make myself. So there's our first part. We have an island in the water. Looks pretty good to me. Now there is one small problem because when I made the island, I did not know exactly where I was going to put the water level. So I ended up putting trees and grass below the level where I ended up putting the water. I could just move the water back down, but I think I like it where it is. So I'm going to paint the terrain differently. I'm going to go to the trees, and this is the tree, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to shift drag and erase these trees that are under the water and right down at the edge of the water. And then I'm going to go to the paint texture and put some sand down to the water. This brush is too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. And that's probably good. I guess it's a little weird that some trees are growing in the sand. Usually trees don't grow in the sand, but that's not a huge deal. I'm just going to go around the rest of the island and make sure that my beach and trees match up okay. Yep, there's some trees in the water. Make some changes there. Go back and erase the trees. I'm going to keep going around the island. I notice that when you're far away, the trees don't show up. When you're far away from them, you only see the ones that are close to the camera or to the view. So it's good to check anything, even though it looks like it's fine and far away, may not be. I'm going to erase a few trees away from the edge of the water. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, next step. We want to make our player have a place to go. So he starts off here down on the beach, and let's say he needs to go up here. Well, if we go too far, then like in order to play test, it will be annoying just, watching me go slowly up the mountain. So I'm going to make my goal actually not very far away. Now in the final version of the game, we would want it to be much further so that the playing would be more interesting. But I think I'm going to put it right here, He's just down there on the beach. We're just going to go up in the forest a little ways. Okay, so I've decided that I want the thing that the goal I'm trying to reach to be like a physical object where you say, well, I'm going to go to that mushroom. So I've got a mushroom in the simple nature pack that we got the trees from. There's this cool red top mushroom. And if I drag it onto the world, it's a tiny little mushroom. I think we can do better than that. I'm just going to make it bigger. So let's say 10 times bigger. It's almost the size of a tree. What about 20 times bigger? Because it's a special goal to make it very big. So it's bigger than a tree. So there we go. Our character's down here on the beach, and he just has to reach the mushroom to complete this part of the game. The next thing we want to do is we want something to detect when he's reached the mushroom. So I'm going to right-click in the hierarchy. I'm going to right-click on the mushroom. I'm going to add a 3D object. It will add it as a child of that object. So I'm going to add a sphere. It just made a big ball. It's scaled. It's a child of the mushroom. It's scaled the same size 20 times bigger than a ball would start off as. I'm going to call this a detection sphere. Now, that's kind of a long name. You can call it whatever you want. The name does not matter. I just like giving names that can help me remember what something does. And okay, so we don't really want a big ball on the side of our mountain. It needs to be just a region where if you go inside the ball, it says you win, or you've completed that mission. So I'm going to turn off the mesh renderer of my detection sphere, and boom, it's gone. Now, if we want to be able to see where the ball is, other than just the little arrows to see where the center is, we could turn on the gizmos, and then that shows like a wireframe of where the ball is. We want to, if we get close to the mushroom, maybe we could make it a little bit smaller, so you have to get a little bit closer. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to scale this down. Now, it thinks it's a scale of 1, but because it's a child of something that's a scale of 20, it's a 20. But we have to make it smaller than 1 to make it smaller. So I'm going to do a 0.5. Now, you have to be inside this smaller area, which is just basically at the bottom of the mushroom, in order to trigger the win event. Now, this sphere doesn't actually detect anything right now. So in order to detect, we're going to say add a component, and we want it to be something trigger. I've seen this before. Let's see. Cinemachine Trigger Action. And the idea is that whenever we trigger, whenever we enter this trigger, it will detect, because it has this component on the invisible sphere. Now, one thing that we need to do is change the collider. The collider right now is a solid collider. You won't be able to go inside the sphere, even though it's invisible. It will stop you like a brick wall. But if we change it to a trigger collider, it basically allows anything to go right through it, but it triggers this event. What do we want to happen whenever we enter this trigger? So we can set, when we enter this object, we can do a number of things. We can say, I want to enable another object. So I have an idea. Let's say we have another object that's in the game, and it's this little mushroom. Honestly, I want to do more than one. So I'm going to duplicate it. select them all and duplicate. Now, maybe getting them away from the ground when we move. Yes, sure enough. Away from the ground. Get them in the ground. Probably individually we need to. We're going to tweak these and get them right where we want them. This one is going to go down to the ground. This will go up a little bit. Okay, so these mushrooms I'm going to put inside of another object. So I'm going to right click and create an empty. So an empty is an object that's only purpose is to be like a container of something else. So it's just going to be called GameObject. And I'm going to select these 6 mushrooms and drag them onto the GameObject. And we can rename it to something meaningful. We can say mushroom group. Mushroom group. Now we're going to go back to our detection sphere, and in the Cinemachine Trigger Action, we're going to enable this mushroom group. So we're going to drag mushroom group into this object target. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the mushroom group and disable it. So now, if I haven't made any mistakes, if my slime character walks up to this mushroom and gets within that sphere area, it will enable and make these little mushrooms appear. And let's play the game. Okay, here we go. Everything's blue. We're gonna let it load because we can't tell what's going on otherwise. Okay, everything's loaded up. We're gonna go up the mountain. Taking longer than expected. I can't even see my mushroom. Oh, I seen something red. Yeah, it's over there. That's cool. The mushroom is big, but it's not so big that you just see exactly where it's at before you get there. So here we go. We're gonna get close to the mushroom, and nothing happened. Okay, so one more thing that we need to do. See this little warning triangle? It says target must be a behavior in order to enable disable. But we're trying to enable disable the entire object. So I think enable is not the right selection. Activate should be the right one. So instead of enable, we'll use activate. Okay, and there's one more thing that we need to do to make this detection work. And so we have this detection sphere. It's got a collider, and our character, the character controller component, acts as a collider. But there is one little specific thing that Unity requires for trigger colliders to work, is that one of the two things has to have a rigid body component. And I don't know that it matters which one. So I'm going to add a rigid body component on the detection sphere. Now, by default, it will just fall down because now it's being used, gravity is being acted on it. Set is kinematic, and I think kinematic just makes it hold it in place. So there is a setting on the Cinematic Trigger Action called Layer Mask. And there's also a tag. I think we want to just say tag the player. Now we want to make sure that our player is tagged as a player. Okay, player capsule. Where are the tags? Here we go. Yeah, player capsule is tagged as a player. Okay, so detection sphere also needs to say what layer. If the player capsule is not on a layer, it won't detect. So currently the detection sphere is looking for the default layer, and our player does not have a layer, so we will select default layer. And just this object, so it's only that player capsule that is going to be changed. Now let's go up the hill and see if we can make the mushrooms grow. Okay, getting close to the bottom of the mushroom. And there they are. The little mushrooms appeared when we got close to the mushroom. So I noticed the little mushrooms are very small. They don't stand out very much. Even when they appear, they are just these little tiny things on the ground. So I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. Make each one a little bigger. Maybe some of them even bigger than others. So what I'm doing is clicking the link so that I don't have to change the X, Y, and Z separately. And then I'm dragging on the X to the right to make it enlarge. So there's our little mushrooms. We could make a fairy circle of mushrooms all around the big mushroom or something like that. But this is enough for now. And we need to make sure that we disable them again, or inactivate, I think is what the correct terminology is. So now they are invisible. So the mushrooms, and we get close, and boom, the mushrooms appear. And I noticed that the mushrooms do have colliders. That's a little bit awkward to not be able to walk around. But, you know, I guess that's fine. But one thing that is not fine, in my opinion, is I cannot get very close to the bottom of this mushroom. And that's because it has a box collider. So if I go back to this mushroom 01, you see, because I have the gizmos turned on, you can see this big box that's around the mushroom, basically, and encloses the entire mushroom. That's fine. It keeps you from walking through the mushroom. But to me, it's not desirable because a little tiny slime going underneath a big mushroom, and I would like it to be able to walk right up to the edge of that stalk. So if we go to the mushroom, it's got this box collider on the mushroom 01 LOD0, and then it does not have a box collider on the next one. So there's only one box collider. We can right click and remove the box collider. We're going to add a different kind of collider. So instead of box collider, we're going to add a mesh collider. Mesh colliders basically apply the collider of the actual shape of the object, which makes sense. The reason a lot of objects that are meant to be a whole bunch of objects and maybe small objects, the reason they don't usually use a mesh collider is because it will slow down the game if there are so many different mesh colliders in the game. It can slow down the game. I'm not saying it always does, but now that we've got a mesh collider on the mushroom, let's see if we can get closer to it. Okay, here we are under this tree. No mushrooms, no mushrooms, no mushrooms. Boom, there's the mushrooms. And I can go right up to the edge of the stalk of the big mushroom. Can't go through it because it still has a collider. Thank you for learning with LewyT's Amusement Academy, Part 6. In part 7, we will learn how to make a starting scene with user interface and buttons and stuff. Like one button will load the scene that we already designed, another button might just quit the game, and then we can see if we have time for anything else. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.